Okay, how did we do this again? I think we started saying it was a rave and we have light and it's a party.
That's old news. We're starting over. It's fresh.
Old news.
It's totally new.
Okay.
This is what it needs to be now.
All right. Nobody heard anything we said before.
I don't know, maybe. We had to start over.
Yeah, we had some sound issues.
Technical problems.
Yeah, my tech guy's at work, so what are you gonna
do? Your tech guy's at work. That's so funny. Yeah. I'm trying to actually get it pulled up. Oh yeah, take 2. Make sure we have sound. All right. Yes, and we do have sound. We are good now. Yes.
Look, somebody's watching us.
Yay.
Stacy.
It is me. There we go. Hey, so at least we have confirmation we've got sound, so we can start over.
And that people like us.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
Even if it's just us.
And for all we know, the last one was fine, and it was just joy.
It could have been just joy, but
don't worry, it's totally fine.
It's okay.
I love it.
Oh,
so
geez.
funny.
I don't remember who all was watching us before, but
no,
I'll invite some people.
It's totally fine. Because I was trying to check the other one to see if we actually had sound.
Yeah, I don't know who all was watching before, but yeah, I deleted the last one.
Oh, you deleted it?
Yeah, because I thought
I wouldn't delete it. So could have been good.
That's okay. Could have been really bad.
All right, take 2.
Anyway, so
you were so excited before. Now you're like, damn, I'm defeated.
Well, I just saw my babysitter pulled up, so I'm gonna have to answer the door too. So, I'm Corey Walmsley still, and we're here to talk about Stacy Raske's book, Be a Boss and Fire That Bitch, again.
Okay. Well, it's not. I was like, it would have been good if you left the first one. Technical.
Yeah. So Stacy is a best-selling author and the biker business coach and the empowered overthinker. And
no, not anymore.
She's
I
not.
am no longer.
She's no longer an overthinker. She's still empowered though.
And an overthinker.
Okay, well, she's a biker business coach. So, hi, Melanie. So we're here talking about her book and all the fabulous things that have come from it since she started. So if you could take a second to talk a little bit about the book. I'm gonna
So what was the first original question we were talking about?
We were talking about how that book has gotten you.
Oh, yeah, but there was so much we did before. This is so funny. So the process of writing the book was absolutely amazing. And what was really interesting was how easy the process was working with Corey and following her Spark method. Because, so often we think that writing a book is going to be crazy hard and crazy complicated. And honestly, from start to finish, and this is actually my 1-year anniversary from starting writing my book. So I started in mid-February 2019. And what's super cool about that, I mean, I'm just excited that it's been a year, but that I was able to write the book in only 3.5 months, just following her 90-day program. And it really allowed that process to be easy, following her systems, following her structure. And that's some of the compliments that I get the most as well on the structure of my book when people read it, which is amazing. And yeah, she really let this process be as simple as possible, because I think it's a lot of times we think it's supposed to be that old story of people, sit and think about books for 5 years and then, then they finally get it done.
Yeah, you do not have to be a monk. You do not have to be isolated. You don't have to go up into the mountains or your mom's basement. I did go to Florida
though,
yeah,
to finish my book. It was nice, but yeah, no, you don't have to go hermit. But it was really nice to for getting the book done. But start to launch of the actual book being released on Amazon was actually 5 months total. So that was really, again, amazing, fast. And it was not something, writing a book was not something that I'd planned for my business necessarily. But the benefit, the massive benefit was that when I did have that inspiration was the same time that I was introduced to Corey, which is phenomenal because, the universe is amazing like that, being on the divine path. And, the people being placed right when you need them and when you're ready. But what was really fantastic as well was just how transformative the experience was for me. A lot of us really struggle with, I never identified as a writer, before working with you. And it was really crazy. The amount of head trash and getting stuck in self-sabotage and getting locked in my mind jail around this process. Because even though, yes, I shared so much of my real raw truth and a lot of my not so great stories in my book, even if I didn't, there's so many triggers around visibility and, not good enough and all the limiting beliefs and all the BS stuff that we tell ourselves that, why we cannot finish the book or start the book or, whatever that is. And the most amazing thing has just been how it's catapulted my business over the last, since July. It's been crazy bananas. Podcast interviews, Facebook interviews, lots and lots of speaking gigs. I knew I wanted to speak more. I was called to do more stages, getting invitations to multiple conferences and conventions. I've got, every week in March I have a speaking gig. Oh my God. Every Wednesday I'm doing a lunch and learn. And awesome. Yeah, I just had the podcast interview yesterday with Next Femme. That was a referral from you because you're like, recommend a book, and it happened to be mine.
Yes, I recommended her book, and I said, hey, you need to get in touch with them because I've already introduced them to you.
Yes.
So that was actually probably one of the easiest introductions I could have done was say, hey, go look on Amazon at her book. It's amazing. And they went, wow, it is.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Well, and it gives you that instant street cred, that instant expert status that opens up the door. So people say yes. And I think that's what you were saying before as the, editor of the magazine when people are pitching you.
Yeah, whenever people send pitches, I've been looking at pitches for 4 years now. And if you want to stand out, it really helps to have certain things like, a book or a book. So
a best-selling book.
A best-selling book
or
would be even better, or a book. But those are things that tell me that you're super serious about what you're doing, that you've sat down and taken the time to write about it, not just, hop on a video and say, oh yeah, I love this, or write a blog post, which, doesn't take nearly the amount of time, nor does it take the commitment, nor does it take that, like, okay, I've got to really stand behind my words. I've really got to step up and like own my expert and say, this is me, this is, everything I stand behind, and take it. And I know that's one of the things that kind of keeps people spinning their wheels is thinking about like, well, what's going to happen if I get this book out there? Well, people are going to judge me. Oh, somebody's going to, read it and hate me. But the bulk of the messages you get are not, your book sucks. Really, it's people saying, thank you so much. I'm glad you wrote this. You are in my head. This has been so helpful to me. I can finally accomplish X that you talked about in the book. And it's one of the things I get was, oh wow, it only took you 6 weeks to write that book, because it took me to write mine. It took 6 weeks to do this.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
There you go.
Yeah.
Put it in the middle.
It took 6
Spark
weeks.
method.
Spark method. 6 weeks to do this. And I mean, I've basically run a circus out of my house. So it's not like I am just sitting here, meditating and writing all day, as much as that would be awesome.
Yeah. 14 weeks.
Yeah. It
Start
takes
to finish.
way less time than you think than you tell yourself it will.
Yeah. And it's only as hard as you make it.
Yeah.
And again, there are all those stories that you freak out. And I would say the biggest one that I ran into was fear of rejection. And it wasn't so much about the audience, because honestly, everybody leaves 5 stars. I got 1 4-star. I was like, really, why'd you bother? No, but it's fine. But I get all those messages too, like, thank you so much. I thought I was the only one. Like, thank you so much. Because it's not about you, but I really did write it for me. It was my healing journey. And that was what it allowed me to release, and the amount of clarity it gave me on myself and my own healing journey, but on who I serve, how I serve them, elevating clarity around my business was just amazing. And we get so locked into our head around those stories and those fears And my fear of rejection was actually about the people that I wrote about, because I wrote about my parents and I wrote about my husband, and, you know, it's those people closest to you. And the irony was it triggered all of them, because now they're having to read about themselves, and, you know, but it allowed an opportunity for a lot of healing. So it was really a good thing. But, you know, everything that's in that book now is so old. Like, it's, I mean, it freed up so much of me, physically, emotionally, mentally, energetically. I mean, you leave it all in that book, and it seems so long ago. And I'm already on to so many way bigger, crazier, more amazing things in my life and my business. It's easy for us to get that tunnel vision on just getting that book done, and like think it's going to be this crazy, I don't know, like whatever we think is going to happen with it. There's so much expectation. And it's way less than what you expect in some avenues, and then it's way greater than I ever could have anticipated as well. Mm-hmm. So, you know, both on the mindset, internal aspect, and then honestly, just what it does for you in your business, because you were just instant expert in saying, hey, I'm owning my message. I believe in what I say and what I do. And now I have this extra credential that just opens doors. I mean, even potential clients, again, they're going to see that and be like, oh, they're the expert in this, and they will choose to invest with you over someone perhaps similar. Obviously, there's really no competition because there's only one you, but, you know, if they're following similar people in the same, you know, subject or topic or whatever it is that you specialize in, you know, they'll pick you over that other person, because again, you've got that extra credential. That's how much more of an expert you are and how much you've owned your message.
Yes, absolutely. And one of the cool things about books is that they're way harder to throw away than a business card.
Yeah.
So chances are, if you do happen to like give somebody a book, even if they, you know, purchase the book, you know, it's going to lay on their desk. I've done that before, where I've picked up a book at an event and then it's just laid here on my desk. And then you see that every day and you're like, oh, I need to do something about this, because then that topic is on your mind, and that person, in our cases, you know, because we put our pictures on the front, they're staring at you.
Yeah.
Like, it's really hard to beat that, staring at you.
Staring you down.
Yeah, saying, call me.
Yeah, call me. Call me. It's really interesting though, because, you know, there's so much with not identifying as a writer that I told myself around this, you know,
really?
You know, oh yeah, I mean, just that, that I'm not a writer. Mm-hmm. And that's what I think the biggest, most interesting story was, to say, but I'm not a writer. Mm-hmm. You are a writer. You have a story inside you. You are a writer, and you are totally capable of sharing it. Absolutely. I think that was a big redefine for myself, to be like, oh, wow, wait a minute. You know, because at the same time my book came out, it was also the magazine article in Inspiring Lives magazine. So now I'm like extra cred on my writing, and I'm like, oh, cool.
I think a lot of people get hung up on titles and feeling like, oh, you're born with this gift to write. And, you know, maybe some people do have a gift in a certain direction, but a lot of these things are skills, and you can learn a skill. Like, you can learn how to write. You can learn how to write better. You can learn how to, you know, use this as a tool in your business. And, you know, don't let that title hold you back. Or I get I'm not creative. I like when they hold their hand up like I'm gonna, you know, like fling paint at them or something like that. I'm not creative, but yeah.
But the big one, I think, is really understanding that no matter what, you have a story, so you're a storyteller. And that's what your book is. You're just telling the story. It's not about writing. It's not about some weird skill, because I literally wrote my book conversationally. I wrote it like I talk. I'm like, keep it real, people. So, you know, it's not like, anybody's a book Nazi and they're like grammatically checking you like crazy.
Yeah. Well,
Although
it should reflect your voice and your, everything that's in
your
here should be coming
personality.
out.
Yeah, your personality.
Yeah.
And honestly, trusting Corey. I mean, that's why I hired her as well, not only as my writing coach, but as my editor, because I trusted that she would guide not only the formatting, but just helping me really nurture my voice in a professional way. And so that massively helped as well. You know, be like, okay, she's the professional. I trust her. I trust your expertise. You have a magazine. You've got all these books out. That you're helping the process.
Yeah. And you can be professional without being stuffy too.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't have to be a chemistry textbook. It's
I cuss in my book.
I've never read a chemistry textbook where they did that. So
exactly. Yeah, I cuss in my book, but I prescribe certain tools to use.
Yeah,
that's funny. I love it. I give you the formula for success.
Yes.
So funny. Hi, Catherine, Melanie.
Oh, hey.
So nice. She's so tunnel vision she didn't notice.
Catherine, are you having coffee? What? Oh no,
Great
it says
tip.
that's a great tip, right? Oh, okay. I just read it that you were having coffee.
Yeah, exactly. You're just telling a story. Well, and there's lots of transcribing apps too. I think that was very helpful. Sometimes I would just word vomit into my phone and then let it transcribe and then go from there. But honestly, the easiest was, I think within the first 2 weeks, I had my whole book outlined and laid out really, really well. The next 12 weeks was just fleshing it out, you know, so.
Yeah, I think the outline is one of the most important things, because if you sit down and stare at a blank page, you're not doing yourself any favors. You have to tell yourself what to write and then just sit down and do it. Like it's absolutely a stepwise process.
As long as you're in the flow. But I was really confident in that outline, and that was fast and that was easy. The rest just allowing myself to fill in the rest of the stuff and to mind that it doesn't have to be perfect. And that was why I had a lot of issues. Not around the digital version, the Kindle. There was something about it. Oh, it's digital. You know, I do share stuff online all the time. It's not a big deal. But as soon as it came time for the paperback, oh man, I was right back in my mind jail. I delayed almost 6 weeks from the Kindle launch to the paperback launch, and I was way more quiet on the paperback because I was like, there's something about this being so real and so permanent. And then honestly, once it was done, it was like, again, like I've said, it's like old news now, because it's just, oh, cool, that was so long ago. And that's what it is. It feels like so long ago because it catapults your individual evolution into literally like hyperdrive, ludicrous speed. Your personal evolution launches after your book is done. So finish your book and get it out there. It's not about you, it's about them, but the healing and the transformation is all about you. So even though I knew writing a book was really about the audience, I wrote it for me, because the more then I didn't have to worry about anybody else. I wrote it for me, and I could have allowed it to be even easier, but you know what? I am grateful for all the resistance and the sabotage, because it was such a wonderful learning experience for myself.
Awesome. I've actually talked to some people who, as they're working on their books, they have to stop and kind of re-examine their whole business structure too, because then they're going, okay, well, this is where I feel like I need to go. You know, this is where I'm naturally flowing with this, and I really feel like I need to revamp some stuff over here. I need to kind of tweak this and do this. And, you know, when you get to the end of the process, it really is very different. And I'm going to hold up my book again. Even when I was working on this one, like I've been writing forever, and, you know, I've been a professional writer for 15 years, and just going through the process of saying, this is what I do. I need to break it down so someone else can understand it. Doing that really got me to think about, like, okay, this really is a good process. This is how we do it. Let's tweak this. Let's do that. So it's actually changed a little bit of how I coach too. So I think, you know, no matter what type of book you're doing, whether it's more of an internal journey sort of book, or if it's like mine where you're just, you know, explaining how to do a process, you know, you do get a lot of that development too, because I know I was going through it like, oh yeah, okay. I know what triggered me most was having my picture on the cover.
Yeah.
I sat down and was like, oh my God, I've never had my picture on the cover of a book. Like, that's fancy stuff.
Well, it is. I mean, it really does transform your business, and then how you interact with your business, who you are in your business, how you clarify your processes, even more clarifying more succinctly who you serve. You know, who is your ideal client, because you will find who that person you are writing this book for is. You just get so much more clarity. And then again, we were talking about sort of that expert status and that street cred that really helps you as well on shifting your pricing. And you know, there's a lot more opportunities again that kind of come through that process. And not only did I get more clarity on the who and the how, but again, you know, this was everything in my book is kind of that primer. So I don't have to teach this anymore. I can say, oh, that's fine. Here you go. That's the basic stuff. And then it's a little bit of the foundational work I still do with my clients, but now it opened up for me all of the next level stuff. And so it inspired so many more options, and it's just expanding for still that same who, but how I serve them, which is amazing. So way more clarity. Oh, Melanie.
Yeah, I was going to say, I want to answer a question. So Melanie was asking if we recommend having your face on the cover. So there are a couple different things I'm going to say here. Yes, I would love to have your face on the cover of your book, Melanie. One. Two, whenever you are self-publishing, it does present a great opportunity for you to give that extra level of connection with your audience. So like, if you're doing good marketing, you want to have a picture with eyes looking forward or eyes looking at what you want the person to be looking at. That's just, you know, like a marketing technique. So that's why I chose to have my picture on the cover. Here we are again. So mine is facing straight forward, because, you know, you are connecting with me, you're looking at this book, and, you know, you're more drawn to a cover that has a person's face on it, just because the way we're wired, our brains are naturally searching for eyeballs all the time. I could go off on a tangent on that one, but so that's why
it's kind of like a business card too. Why
yeah.
so many people put their faces on a business card with personal branding.
Yeah,
you know,
it's a connection piece.
Yeah.
I will say, however, there are certain cases where you would not want your book on the cover, or your face on the cover of your book, and that would be like if you are not a household name and you're trying to go for like New York Times bestseller. That is one where, you know, it's better to have just the words, or to have it, you know, a standard image of some sort, to make it an attractive cover, something that people want to pick up. But you know, that is just something that is preferred for that market. But for us, you know, like if it's your first book, if you're not a household name yet, which, you know, give me a couple years on that one, then yeah, I want to have a book with my face on the cover. It's good marketing.
Yeah,
yeah,
I love it.
Okay,
so good. Awesome.
Well, we don't have any more questions. Did you have anything else you want to say about your book?
Well, I would definitely encourage you, if you're struggling with any of the mindset pieces around getting your book done, this will help you. And if you are in Corey's program to get your book done, there is an extra little sabotage training that I included in there, just because of my experience being so like vocal about, all right, let's talk about the sabotage.
Yeah, so that is an amazing part of the program too. So yeah, if you do work with me, you get that training. And I wanted to add too, you can pick up Stacy's book on Amazon. Or actually, if you walk in a bookstore and you tell them that you want that book, they are supposed to order it for you. So you should be able to get it anywhere that books are sold.
Yeah.
My book as well. And I wanted to mention too, my launch party is coming up next week. 1 week from today, on February 27th, 2020, in case you're watching this years from now. It's 6:30 at J&D Cellars Winery in Washington, and there will be a poster of my book cover there. So if you come for nothing else, come to see a giant book cover.
A giant Corey.
A giant Corey. It'll be bigger than me. Yeah. So
awesome.
if you have questions and you're watching the replay, absolutely put them in the comments and we will answer them. And otherwise, have a great evening.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, thank you.
Good time.